If you've been watching the channel, you know I have this 2014 Honda Accord LX with this horrendously awful eBay grill. The reason I say it's horrendously awful, as you can see, completely fall apart. It's made out of chicken wire with bad plastic and metal that rusts for retainer clips. Due to this being so bad, I'm going back to stock. I did mention previously that I would do a coupe mesh grill, but for now, I'm just going to go back to stock because it'll be significantly better looking than what this grill is. Since my stock grill was damaged and that's why I got the eBay grill, I had to get every single component separately to purchase. That means the main grill, the surrounding chrome piece that goes on the grill, the chrome inserts, and the badge all had to be purchased separately, and the screws. Since I'm not a big fan of chrome, I decided to black out a lot of it. So first I started with the metal inserts. I clean them off with isopropyl alcohol. After the isopropyl dries, I then plastic dip them. Plastic dip says to do 3 to 4 coats. I did 5 coats. I wanted as many coats on there as possible, so that way for a long time I don't have to worry about redoing the plastic dip. After that, I focused on the badge. I cleaned it again with isopropyl alcohol, and then I tried wrapping it with this old carbon fiber wrap that I had. This wrap's been sitting in my house for about 5+ years, and so I thought maybe I could dabble a little bit in wrapping, and that did not work. Luckily, I was able to learn a little bit about wrapping with wrapping paper since I've never done it before, but the adhesion of the wrap, due to how long it was in my house, was no longer relevant, and so it just did not stick to the badge. Knowing that that was not going to work, I then cleaned off the badge one more time with isopropyl, and I plastic dipped it again, doing 5 coats, waiting 30 minutes between each coat. Once that was done, then I focused on the outside trim piece. Now the outside trim piece is a darker chrome. I did that on purpose just in case I had to leave it on chrome, but I was going to try to wrap it body color. I found a wrap that looks very much like the Elbister Silver for Honda, and of course, I cleaned the chrome piece with isopropyl alcohol and started trying to wrap this. Now, this was new wrap. I just picked it up. However, I was very limited to funds, so I only got enough for one try. And of course, I wasn't able to do it. It just was too hard to try to do. I went as far as I could possibly go, but ultimately it failed and I wasted the wrap. It is what it is, not a problem. I'll get back to that at some other point. Knowing that the chrome piece couldn't be changed from chrome at the current moment, I left it chrome. I did not want to plastic dip it because I think body color would work better, not just a black piece. So for now, I just left it chrome. Then I went and go ahead and assembled all the pieces. First, I did the outside piece, the bigger chrome piece, and that is held in with screws. There's, I believe, 12 screws total that hold it in. Made sure to line up the chrome with the main grill because it does have to sit there in a specific manner. You can't just throw it on. You have to line it up. Once it's lined up, I put in the screws to retain it to the grill. I did not want to use an automatic screwdriver just because, or like an impact driver, just because I wanted to be gentle with the screws since these weren't necessarily exactly the ones that Honda recommends. Then after that, I focused on the middle trim pieces. By the way, they came out perfect with the plastic dip and doing the 5 coats. First, I made sure that I clipped in the middle piece. There's just enough force that you have to use to get that click in sound, like it clipped in. And then I screwed in the inside screw first near the emblem, and as you can see, I was a little concerned. At first I was like, oh, this is too straight, it's gonna break, but it's not. This is how it is. You just have to force it to bend down on the other end, and then of course attaching it with the screws. Once all that was done, then I inserted the badge, and of course the retainer clips for the badge were also needed to be purchased separately. Every single piece for the grill was a separate purchase. Once I got it fully assembled, then I went and started taking off the old grill from the car, removing all the retainer clips for the cover for the radiator and the little cover that's by the hood release latch. Now, I was hoping to be able to remove the grill without taking off the bumper, which I was able to do it when I put this eBay grill on, But this time around, whatever clips I used to put it on there just did not want to come out. We're having too much issues. And so ultimately I had to start trying to take off the front bumper. Now I didn't want to take it off the whole way, so I made things as hard as possible for myself and only removed some things to allow me to separate the bumper from the body just enough to be able to get to the grille. To remove the bumper, I was going slowly around the edge using a plastic trim removal tool to push down on the tabs so I didn't break where the tabs clip in. As you can see, one of them was already snapped off. Now, as I mentioned, the clips that I used for this eBay grill to hold it to the bumper were just on there so tight that I had to, at this point, out of the 2 clips on the last clip, I had to just force it off. Once I was able to get that off, while I was in there, I wanted to change the horns. The horns is not something that I necessarily care about, but visually when you have a mesh grill, the stock ones just look badly, that I wanted to try to get something that was aesthetically more pleasing. Honda makes these horns for, I believe, the minivan. I'm not exactly sure. I found these online and they are a direct replacement. Aesthetically, they look miles better and they do sound deeper, unlike the horns that are on here. Now again, I didn't necessarily care for the sound that much, but it was a nice upgrade to it as well. To replace the horns, you simply just have to unplug the plug and remove the screw holding it to the grill location or behind the grill location. I cleaned out the threads where the screw goes in just to make sure there was no rust there, and then I put in the new horn with the retaining screw and then plugged in the wire, and I repeated that for the other one. Once that was done, I started attaching the original stock grill, or new grill to me, onto the bumper. The stock grill actually has 4 clips that it uses to attach to the bumper, not 2. That's the other thing the eBay bumper does differently. To align the stock grill, you'll see that there's some tabs that have to actually clip into the bumper when properly aligned. Once those are aligned, then you can put in the retainer clips to hold it to the bumper. To reinstall everything, I was using the clips from a Honda retainer clip that I found, I believe, at AutoZone. However, these weren't working so great. So I ended up remembering that I had a Harbor Freight clip kit and those were working significantly better. So I used those instead to clip in everything, since mine were so old on the car that basically all of them started breaking off. And then to reassemble the bumper to the car, just basically did everything of the opposite, which was pulling up the bumper onto the bumper support and then making sure slowly that everything was lining up with all the trims and the plastics, so that way the bumper properly clipped in. And then I put the retaining screws by each wheel well and re-clipped everything. And honestly, this is significantly a better look. I love the blacked out badge. I think a badge belongs on the car in the front. As much as I'm all about debadging, I think an emblem is something that is required. I cannot wait to do body color on that chrome piece. I think it'll look significantly better after that, but for now, this is miles better. Now let's hear how the horns sound. Here's the difference between the old and the new. And here's a closer look to the eBay grill. As you can see, it's just bad plastic. The tabs that are used to hold the mesh to the plastic are these metal bendable clips that will rot over time, especially if you live in a snow belt state. And the wire mesh just easily bends and doesn't hold up to any kind of abuse. So, since I'm never going to use it again, and I'm definitely not going to sell it to anybody, I'm just going to go ahead and toss it. And that's it for this video. I hope they helped. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.